Hayley's story is one of courage, reinvention and self-trust. After 15 years in senior HR and leadership roles in global tech, she walked away from a career that no longer aligned with her values to rediscover who she really was.
Where there's this inner strength, this inner knowing, and you can't really tap into that unless you're at a low point. It just tells you to keep going.
What followed was a profound transformation. Through divorce, redundancy, and an unexpected pregnancy at 41, Hayley became a mother against the odds, reshaping everything she believed about possibility and purpose.
I rang my best friend and said, "You'll never guess, this could only happen to me," and she burst out laughing as well. I was like, no.
Today, she's a leadership and mindset coach known as the Spiritual CEO. She's helping women break limiting beliefs, find their authentic voice, and redefine success.
So our beliefs are formed, basically, they're a safety mechanism. Mm-hmm. So if you think of it as like a kind of a protective shield around you.
In this episode, Hayley shows us that the universe really does conspire in our favour, even when it doesn't feel like it at the time. Hi, Hayley. Thank you so much for being here today and being a guest on our podcast.
Very welcome.
Do you want to start off by telling us who Hayley is and a little bit about you and sort of whistle-stop tour of your career to date?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Hayley Mitchell and I'm the founder of Human Edge Development, and kind of started my career in banking. And following that, moved into global IT, where I kind of moved up in the ranks from HR advisor to European HR business partner, which I loved for many years. I got to see the world, Europe at least, spent a lot of time in Sweden, and really enjoyed it. Spent a lot of time with leadership teams, advising them on projects, etc. Then I moved to consultancy for a short time whilst I was transitioning from HR to learning and development, and ended up in a role within the finance industry where I became the head of learning and development. And that takes us to kind of 12 months ago when I left there and started my own business.
Amazing. Yeah. And what's life like for you outside of work?
Well, I have a 2.5-year-old, Monty, who I had when I was 41.
Yeah.
And I have a partner, Shane, who I don't live with. He's ex-forces, and his job takes him all over Europe and Asia and Africa. So we have a bit of a I suppose, non-traditional kind of household, which we really enjoy, actually.
Yeah, nice.
If it works, it works.
It does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. I've been in relationships before where you spend a lot of time together and it can become kind of complacent and take each other for granted and stuff like that, whereas we genuinely get to miss each other, which is nice.
Yeah, I think actually that's really important, isn't it? Actually having that opportunity to miss someone makes you realise how much you really like them.
Yeah.
Brené Brown says, that's what keeps desire.
Yeah, it does.
And desire keeps long-term relationships
makes
going.
The heart grow fonder, as they say.
Yeah. How do you sort of manage that dynamic you've got going on there then of building your own business at the moment whilst also having a toddler and also at times having a bit of a long-distance relationship?
Yeah. Honestly, I've probably found it easier than most, or easier than I should have done. When you put it that way, I do go, wow, yeah, that sounds quite hard. But I think, I know because of my line of work now, which is working on inner beliefs, I know that because of my internal belief system and the work that I've put into that and is ongoing, it means that actually I do see the benefits of the lifestyle that I lead, and I ask for help when I need it, and I have the support system in place. I don't know what I would do without my mum and dad, in all honesty. They are incredible and they help me out a lot. Shane, again, is the most incredible father to Monty. And yeah, I make it work because it has to work. And I feel like it can work. So, I've not got those barriers that are telling me, or I don't really subscribe to the fact that it has to be hard, because I actually find it quite manageable.
Yeah, you kind of have released yourself of some pressure almost.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. You said that you ask for help. Do you think lots of people don't tend to ask for help?
I imagine so. I think people find it difficult to ask for help. I myself used to be a people pleaser. And I would also think that I was being too much if I was asking for help. And also, I want to be an independent woman, you know? So
it's like vulnerable to ask for help, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I can do it all. We're expected to do it all. Bullshit. You don't have to. We've got people around that want to help. So ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
Like, it does take a village. It used to. We're not used to being siloed and having to just deal with things on our own. And I think the more you can offload to people that are willing to pick it up and help you, I mean, people love to help each other as well.
Yeah, they do.
How much do you love it when somebody turns around to you and say, "Oh, I really need your help."
Yeah.
Or you drop
feel
things,
special, don't you?
You do.
Like, oh, they've asked me for their help.
Yeah,
That's
it feels
nice.
great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amazing. You have a really interesting story from, obviously we had a bit of a chat before this podcast session about your journey and your life and how things have kind of worked out for you along the way. And we'll dig into some of that a little bit more throughout this podcast. But one thing you kind of sort of say and believe is that your life has been full of sort of perfectly imperfect timing of stuff and these things that felt like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that they almost like had to happen in certain ways. And is there a particular moment where you realised that everything had to happen how it did for you?
Honestly, there have been so many, but I guess in my personal life, I mean, me and Shane should never have met at all. When we did meet, he was living in the South Coast and I was up in West Yorkshire. I'd recently had a baby. Monty was 6 months old, and I wasn't looking or actively looking at all to find anybody. I was very much in my era of I've found myself. I'm very happy. I'd moved back in with my mum and dad because they were helping out with the baby.
Yeah, great.
And I didn't need anybody. But if somebody was out there that was right for me, then I'd be willing to listen. I was in that kind of mentality, and I'd already put out into the world exactly that. I'd actually put something on a singles Facebook group. Still got the screenshot of it that basically said, I'm not looking to date anybody at the moment. When I do, I'm putting it out into the universe to say that I want somebody who is emotionally intelligent, who has his own stuff going on, who is looking to live a natural life. My values are fun, freedom, and family. So you don't have to match them, but they need to be, similar and not conflict with them. And I want to buy some land and live amongst, growing animals and living, growing vegetables and things like that. And it needs to be sunny, please, as well.
That helps.
Yeah, that's my wish list. Thank you. And then I forgot about it. I genuinely did. And anyway, in the way that we met was on Facebook, and kind of it wouldn't have happened if a few months earlier, or about a year earlier, I hadn't been at my lowest point, which was when my ex-boyfriend just walked out one day.
Oh, wow.
I think his reason was he didn't have enough wardrobe space.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. So I was heartbroken. My world felt like it had imploded, and I realised how little self-worth I had when I was really in a place of almost begging him to come back. When friends and family had already told me that we weren't right together anyway. I don't regret the relationship. It was fine for what I needed at the time. It was a rebound after I left my husband. But yeah, I was very, very low at that point. And there was something inside me, and I hope people can relate to this. When you're at your lowest, I think that's the time, this is where the spiritual side for me anyway comes in, where there's this inner strength, this inner knowing, and you don't really listen to it, or you can't really tap into that unless you're at a low point. That just tells you to keep going. It says there are brighter things ahead for you, kind of thing. And I had that inner strength. And honestly, learning and development, I think at that point saved me, because I started to research into relationships and communication and all this stuff that, as somebody that was in a 20-year marriage before then, I hadn't learnt. Because you don't, when you get with somebody at 16 years old, you don't learn really how to, you learn through breakups, through reflection, through understanding different types of people. When you're with one person for 20 odd years, you don't learn, you just learn them.
Yeah, you kind of lose yourself as well, because you're kind of clone into each other.
So true. I was like, I didn't know if my opinions were my own or not. I really didn't. And again, that's nothing detrimental to my ex-husband either. We just grew apart. So I was at my lowest, and the reason that this is significant to mine and Shane's story is because I decided, right, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to first of all take up some new hobbies. So I went to wild swimming, which I still do, which I still love. And then I did like the circus skills where you have to hang on a hoop.
Yeah,
it's really painful.
You have to demonstrate that for us.
No, I only did that a couple of times because it really hurt. I thought, this isn't for me. And bought a camper van. And then I went on a solo holiday to this yoga retreat, which was incredible in Portugal. I'd highly recommend. Where I learnt to paddleboard. This is where we're getting to the Shane story.
This is sounding great at the moment. I'd like to have that experience.
Yeah, and I'd just turned 40 as well. So this was I was in my hot girl era. Let's just be free. And, I wasn't going to have any kids at this point. I'd accepted that. I was like, it's fine. So I learned how to paddleboard. Anyway, roll back on to the start of the story, which was me and Shane met on Facebook. It was a paddleboarding site page, and I'd never been on it before. I must have signed up when I got back from yoga retreat and didn't really think much about it. And he popped up just as I was looking at my phone, and I was like, oh, that's nice. It turns out that he was in the military, but the army paid for him to become a paddleboarding instructor when he was on his year out.
Nice.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't really happen. It's not really a military strategic thing to paddleboard anywhere. But anyway, they did. So he's a paddleboard instructor. So that was the first kind of synchronicity. So we found each other on there. And then, like I say, I was like, I think I put something cheesy on I've learnt to paddleboard recently. I could do with some lessons. Shame you're so far away. And he replied going, I can travel.
Love it.
He's like, can I DM you? I was like, oh, go on then. Yeah, fine. I thought, well, you better impress me because, I'm not really into wasting any time. Anyway, he did impress me. We had great conversations, and then he was desperate to come and see me, and this was just before Christmas, a couple of years ago. So he decided he was going to come up, and it was a force 9 gale, and all he had was his motorbike.
Oh, crikey.
That needed new wheels, tyres. And honestly, it was like a white knight on the steed. I was like, well, this is a way to impress me, I'll be honest. Wow. So he came up, took him several hours. I think it took him 7 hours from door to door.
Wow.
He had to keep stopping because it wasn't safe and he was tired.
That commitment.
That is commitment, yeah. I mean, most guys at this point, they'll want to meet you halfway or they can't even be bothered to do anything. So I thought that was quite good. And then, so he did eventually get there. We had the most incredible dates, which I won't go into now, but it was magical, absolutely magical, and weird and wonderful. And we got to know each other really, really well. But still there was a distance thing. It's like, well, is that going to be a problem? This could be the right guy, but just wrong timing. Turns out 3 weeks later, he moved up north.
Wow. That's a coincidence.
Well, the thing was, he was going to live, he just put in he was coming out of a year's worth of notice from the army. And he was going to live in his van until he sorted out what he was going to do. His van blew up a couple of months before. I'm still grateful to that van for blowing up.
Yeah.
Because he would not have moved up here if it wasn't for the case.
Karmic forces.
It really was. So he moved up here 3 weeks later and he still lives an hour away from me, but that's perfect.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is a good example of everything kind of happening in that timeline.
Right time.
Yeah, it really did.
Amazing. Jumping around a little bit. I got a question here about sort of more your career history and how you sort of have changed sort of routes a few times. And something you told us previously when we first chatted that you were in a role at one point in HR and you kind of realised that the work didn't really align with your values anymore because you were having to deal with a lot of redundancies and things that you just didn't sit comfortably with you anymore. What was it that kind of gave you the courage to be like, oh, I'm going to step away from a career that I've been working for a while?
Yeah. So with the HR role, I did really love it until I didn't, and it was just the amount of it. It was a very sales driven organisation, and if the sales teams didn't hit the targets, then they needed to reduce the cost, and that was kind of every quarter for about 2 years. And as the business partners, we were very heavily involved at the kind of leadership end of organising that, and being there when people were told and managing that. And on the one hand, it was good that I was the person doing that because I know I was skilled at doing it. I know I had empathy and things like that. However, I also just felt like it wasn't. I didn't know what aligned work was then, if I'm honest. But it didn't sit right with me, and again, I think that inner knowing was what drove me to it, because I reached a point where I was asked to do something. I think it was to make somebody redundant who had just joined us, a receptionist who was amazing. He would light up the room when he'd walk in. He was, this guy didn't cost a lot, and it really affected it was against my values to let him go. It just didn't seem like it was worth it to the company. We're a global company. Do we really need to save this amount for this guy that is doing a really great job? And I think I just said, I can't do this one. I can't do it. And my manager asked me to kind of step into the meeting room, and I burst into tears and said, it's just too much. I can't do it anymore. And she's like, this is not like you, Mitchell. Like, what is going on? I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. She said, look, take some time off, take a week off, come back to me and let me know what you want to do. And I did. And as soon as I walked out, I thought, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to walk back in there.
Wow. It's just draining you almost.
It was. And
it's not a nice process to go through, is it? Keep firing people.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. And I just thought, do you know what, this isn't what I want to do anymore. So I wrote a list whilst I was off of the things that I liked to do, the things that I was good at. And then it almost rose off the paper. I was like, learning and development. Like, it's almost like a sideways move because they work very closely together anyway, HR and L&D teams. But I was like, I can inspire people instead of firing them. This is great. So I got all fired up then, and I went back to my manager. I mean, it was over 5 years ago now, so I think I'm quite safe in saying this. I said, look, I want to leave. She's like, okay, I'd be really sad to see you go, but okay. I was like, but I want to leave with some money. She's like, okay, speak to me. I was on a 3-month notice period. I said, can I be paid that up front? She said, I'll see what I can do. She spoke to the director, came back, said, yeah. Let's do that. So I only had to work a week, but I got paid it up front. And that gives you a bit of a safety net.
Yeah.
I backed myself that I could find another job fairly easily if I had to. I could do some temporary work whilst I looked for something more permanent. And so I did.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what did that unlock for you?
So I actually contacted my previous manager in another global IT company, and she'd set up her own HR consultancy at that time. Okay. And I said, look, I'm in between jobs at the moment. I'm looking for L&D work. If you'd know anything, can you let me know? She said, as it would happen, I've got a team member, a consultant who's just gone on maternity leave. I'm looking for somebody to cover her role for 3 months. Do you want to do that? And you can do some learning and development for our clients. Yes,
please.
That would be perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much. Gives you a bit of time to look around, see what other jobs are out there. Whilst I'm talking to her, she's like, so what do you actually want to do long term? Who do you want to work for? I said, well, I want to work for a smaller business. I want to work for like a family feel business. I want to really feel like I can add value from the get-go and help shape something. 4 weeks later, she already knew this was happening. She was bought by Progeny, a company that at the time, family feel, big growth plans, but there was only 70 people there, I think, when I joined. I think there's over 700 now.
Wow.
Yeah. And, it really aligned. It was a fun environment. And so I moved across. And then a few months after that, they wanted to set up a L&D team.
Oh, see, perfect timing.
Has
The universe has got your back, Hayley.
Honestly, the universe has got my
Yeah.
back.
Do you think there's something in saying yes to opportunities from your experience, like almost embracing everything that you can?
Yeah, and I suppose I've always had a bit of that in me. But I also now understand that we don't see the opportunities that are there if we don't believe that we're worthy of them, if we don't believe that we've got the courage to go after them. We just don't see them. They're invisible to us.
Yeah.
So yes, I've always had that within me, but now I find even more opportunities, like being here today, etc. And all, I could keep on listing the different opportunities and different stepping stones, I call them.
Yeah.
You do one thing and somebody sees you and they offer you another opportunity. You do that and then somebody goes, I'm going to offer you another opportunity. And you don't actually know. I've not planned any of the last few steps that I've made. They've appeared.
It's like a spider web almost.
Honestly,
that just keeps growing.
Yeah.
Of opportunity.
Yeah. And it's because I believe I can. It's because I've got the confidence to, because I've worked on that.
Amazing.
That is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. And we'll dig into a little bit more about that as well in this episode.
You said to us in your our pre-call that you were declared barren, in your words, not my words, your words, barren at age 40.
Yeah.
And yet you found yourself pregnant at 41.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened then? Why was you barren at 40? How did you get what happened a year later to get pregnant at 41, and how you felt through all that? And with obviously your work and what you were doing with your work as well.
Yeah, sure. So the same guy who left it, basically he was overwhelmed that my ex-boyfriend saying he needed more wardrobe space. That was also a week after we started fertility investigations.
Right.
More, not because we were definitely going to have children, but more because neither of us ever knew, neither has ever been pregnant, made somebody pregnant. So we were like, just out of curiosity, should we see where we're at? So we went to have some investigations, and I actually didn't get the results back because we split up beforehand, and because we went to the appointment together, they said they had to give us the results together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But whilst I was there, a nurse made a very off-the-cuff remark, which I didn't think was very helpful, that said, because of your age, you've only got about a 10% chance anyway.
Oh, lovely.
Charming.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Which, again, I don't think is true because, I mean, my own sister-in-law has had children. My other sister-in-law is 43 right now and she's pregnant.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the school parents at my child's school are in their late 40s.
Exactly.
And they've got 5-year-olds, so yeah.
So, but you listen to people in authority.
You do.
Sometimes you don't. I don't always. But, in that situation, I was like, oh, okay. And I believed her. Oh, I must have a 10% chance of being pregnant. So then he left me a week later and I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to go into the dating pool like, hi, I want to have a baby. How about you?
Yeah.
let's settle down and have a family. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not what I wanted to do. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to be a drunk auntie. Like, I'm just going to be tanned all the time, travel around. Yeah. At this time, I didn't have a purpose. Monty, honestly, is my purpose. And my life changed instrumentally when I found out I was pregnant with him. But until then, I was drinking Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I loved my job. I was professional at work, but I would love it if people went for drinks afterwards. You know what I mean? And it's very social and all this. Whereas, it completely changed afterwards. But yeah, so that's when I decided to do all the things that I said, buy a camper van and go on the yoga retreat and things like that. And it was actually in the September of that same year, so I was still 40. And yes, I did go out on one night, dressed up in a Rosa Bloom play suit. It was cool, to be fair.
We need to see pictures of that now.
I was looking.
Can we flash one up on the podcast?
I was looking great because I was working out all the time, because what else did I have to do? It's what you do in single life generally. And I ended up pregnant. I don't actually have any shame around it anymore. It's just this, this first time very publicly, I suppose I'm saying it, but I don't have any shame around it because, do you know what? That was exactly how I was supposed to have Monty. And I'm so glad about that. And So yeah, that's how I can't remember the question now, but that's how I became a mother.
Yeah, I think it was just tell us about
that.
it.
Yeah, it was about that, and I think it was about work as well, and how you got through that being pregnant, not realising, oh my God, all of a sudden you're pregnant, and work, and how you dealt with that.
Yeah. Work were great. My manager was very supportive and very excited. And so that was all fine when I told them I was pregnant. Returning to work was a little bit more difficult because your whole identity changes when you have a child. You just no longer know what you should be doing, who you should be, what your priorities are. I literally had to say to my manager when I came back, like, you need to tell me what I need to do. I haven't got a clue anymore. I have completely forgotten in the last 12 months. My head is elsewhere. Can you please set me really clear goals? And she's like, this isn't like you. I know, but new me is we need some help. Can you set me some really clear goals? And then I know that I'm achieving them. Then I feel like I'm adding value. Because without that, I don't know what I'm doing. But unfortunately, when I did return, my manager was off for a couple of weeks and I was literally thrown into the deep end of, it was Learning at Work Week, which is a thing where we would get people across the business to share ideas, share their talents and things like that. And there was nobody else to organise that than me.
Oh, okay.
So literally within 2 days of being in, that's what I was doing. So, I mean, it was a baptism of fire. But I managed to pull it off somehow with a wing and a prayer, yeah.
That's amazing. And what was kind of going through you emotionally when you found out you were pregnant, given that you kind of had lost hope that might be a thing for you, and then actually being almost that shock of being like, oh, I'm on my own, I'm a single person, I'm pregnant. Yeah. What were the emotions going through you?
I think I laughed uncontrollably when I found out, if I'm honest. I rang my best friend and said, you'll never guess, this could only happen to me. And she burst out laughing as well. I was like, no. But yeah, I guess it was just, I was very happy. I was worried about telling my mum and dad. Yeah. Because there was at the time.
Even
also,
at 40.
I was just about to say, she was scared of telling me, and she was, you were 25?
Yeah, but 40, yeah.
Yeah.
41
well, 40, I think it's because of the way, because they knew I wasn't with anybody,
Right, okay.
It's like, I've never had a one-night stand in my life. The one time I do, I get pregnant, like...
Fate!
well, now I know it is. Now I'm like, it had to happen that way. It's almost like the bloody Virgin Mary, but with less virgin. Because I mean the highlight of this story is Shane is the most wonderful dad, and I always say that Monty chose Shane as much as I did.
That's lovely.
Shane had a vasectomy several years ago. There's no way we could have had a family together.
Oh, wow.
Shane also lost a son when he was 13 years old.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, 8 years ago. 8 years ago, just this weekend.
Oh, that's so
And he
hard.
never thought that he would be able to love another child again, like he does with Monty. And just before he met Monty, it was Christmas time, and Monty was being passed around my family, and he was crying every time my brothers went near him. So I was thinking, he might not like men very much. He spends a lot of time with me and my mum, kind of thing. But when they met just a few weeks later, he literally put his arms up to Shane. I've got pictures of them together.
Just instant connection.
Honestly, and I always say that he chose Shane as much as I did. Yeah, because if they didn't get on, then obviously I would have been like, no, that's not going to work for me. But they did instantly.
That's amazing.
Did that kind of teach you anything about almost trusting life and trusting the process? I mean, it's not a process, but just almost... just letting go a little bit and learning to trust what life gives you.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think your first question was, when did you realise that this everything kind of had to happen in that way? Every time I look back now, and it's easy to do out of hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're at your lowest ebb, you might be thinking, "Oh, this is absolutely terrible." Yeah. But with hindsight, you go, "Oh no, it had to happen. I had to be redirected at that point. That had to happen, for me to be doing what I'm doing now." Now, I try and do that in the moment. So now, when things don't go my way, if I put a lot of time and effort into trying to get a proposal together for a client, for instance, and they at the last minute they go, no, we're going to go in a different direction. I allow myself to feel disappointment. I allow myself to go through any emotions that I need to feel, because it's not good for us to suppress emotions. It's good for us to release them. But then I very quickly move to, okay, that's not the right timing for me and for them right now. And that's okay. That's not a reflection on my value, my worth, what I can do, etc. It's just reflection on timing isn't right, or what have you. I could sit there and procrastinate and start, going into a spiraling
kind of thing.
Oh, that's another reason why, because I said something that they might not have liked. I said that could be true, it could not. But me spiraling about it isn't going to help anything, is it?
No,
so instead I
exactly.
go, do you know what? That's just not the right timing. I wish them well. We might cross paths again in the future. What's that going to free me up to do now? And then
It's a great outlook.
honestly, days later, something else will come up and you go,
That's
well, I couldn't have done
right.
that if I was focusing on that.
Yeah, something really powerful in that acceptance.
It really
almost.
is.
Just accept it, move on.
It's freeing, so freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did your definition of success change after Monty was born, do you think? And if so, what does your definition of success look like now compared to what it did back then?
Everything changed. Literally the day that I did the pregnancy test, everything changed. I was smoking on and off back then. I was, drinking at weekends quite heavily. I didn't really think about the food that I was eating particularly, etc. Everything changed that day.
Wow.
I quit caffeine as well as alcohol, as well as vaping, anything that wasn't good for me. I completely quit. I then researched into food, and it came to my front of mind about ultra processed food. So I started eating really clean. I've continued to do that as much as possible. Beauty products. I make my own beauty products. If you ever follow my mate Ginger Kate, aside loving all of the things that she was sharing. So using tallow and all these different things. Yeah, essential
it happens
oils.
to us all when we get older. I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah. Because I need to be around. Success to me means being around for as long as possible, as healthy as possible for my child. I can't be shortening my life with eating food that I think is healthy when it's not. And, I used to do like the Special K diet. I believed that it was healthy to have Special K in the morning, Special K at lunchtime. Do you know what I mean? I thought that, because they wouldn't lie to us, would they?
Many of those fad diets as well, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm like, oh my God, I need to reverse all that damage that I've done over the years. So success to me now looks like being healthy, number one. Number two is being present, which is a struggle sometimes, I'll be honest. I'm probably on my phone too much. And that's something that I'm going to work on next. But the life that I'm building now is a life where we can buy land. Shane's got the same dream as well, thankfully.
Oh, brilliant.
We can buy land, we can grow vegetables, we can live in nature as much as possible. I don't want him to go to a UK high school. That's like my cut-off. I don't mind if he goes to primary school, but high school is a big no-no for me. I've got real reservations about it. So we're actually thinking about moving to the jungle.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Wow.
Were you homeschool then for the...
Homeschool, there's jungle schools as well.
Oh,
where,
cool.
they literally learn how
Freddie
to...
would like a jungle school. Sean's son would like
Costa
a
Rica
jungle
looks incredible.
Wow.
But we're looking at Belize because that's where Shane did his forces training.
I didn't even know these things existed.
No, neither did I.
Sounds awesome, yeah. And just like learning to live naturally and simplistically and authentically, and just embrace that.
That's
I say
kind
it
of
to you all the
your
time,
dream,
and I
isn't
just
it?
want to embrace simple living and just
Yeah.
being present and enjoying each other, enjoying the world, and not having that, the rat race all the time. Of,
Do you ever watch Ben Fogle's New Lives in the Wild?
I've seen a couple of them, but not recently.
Yeah, I used to watch it years ago, and I'd go, like most people, he follows people around to the ends of the earth, basically, that were, big corporates or enterprise directors or what have you, and then they just like want to get out of the rat race. They go, this isn't for me anymore. Yeah, they buy an island and just live off grid or what have you. Yeah. And I always used to watch that and go, wow, I'd love that, but I'd never have the guts to do it. And now we are literally looking to move to the middle of nowhere, in a few years' time. I want to grow my online business so I can still be supporting clients online, so we can work anywhere with good Wi-Fi, get Starlink, what have you. And then we're thinking about doing retreats. Shane with his bushcraft. Me with my belief coding and Reiki. And doing retreats for like corporates.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to book one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
You're very welcome to come.
Definitely.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Feels like a really appropriate time for you to tell us a little bit more about your business now and what you do. And then after that, how do you juggle building that alongside actually having a toddler at home that you're looking after and raising?
Well, I stuck to my 4 days a week. When I came back from maternity leave, I dropped Fridays. And so naturally at nursery, I only have him in 2 days. Mum and dad have him another 2 days. So when I started working for myself, I was like, I'm going to stick with that arrangement because you can, if you know how long you've got to get stuff done, that's how long you do it in.
Yeah.
And what was your question? Sorry.
Just what it's like juggling the two, but also tell us a bit more about your business. Like, what do you do? How do you help people now? And how do you make that balance work?
Okay, so when I was head of learning and development, my passion was mindset. So interpersonal skills. So the management and leadership development programs that we'd create were a lot about getting into the right mindset first of all, then the practical skills, added on to that. And what I was noticing was people were loving it. They're like, yeah, I get it. This really makes a lot of sense. But then months later, I'd say, so how are you getting on? Are you having challenging conversations? What experience have you had? Oh, well, none have come up really. And I wasn't seeing the behaviour changes that I was expecting to see, having put a lot of time and effort into these things. And it wasn't until I had the time and opportunity when I was asked to leave, made redundant. My role was no longer part of the new structure. So I had some time on my hands to be able to look at other things. And I saw a advertisement for a 3-day masterclass on something called belief coding. And I thought, well, I've got the time and opportunity to do it. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm usually in back-to-back meetings. No, I'm not. So let's do, attend and see what it's about. And what I learned then is now what I've built a career around, which is that surface level stuff is the mindset stuff. So, it's a bit like polishing the bonnet of a car. It looks great, but if there's a problem underneath that you don't fix, then you're never going to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And what I do now with the inner belief work is we fix what's underneath. So those internal outdated programs that we've been running since we were little, we can rewire them so that we can live the way that we were supposed to live. We can live without limitations. We can feel confident. We don't have to have imposter syndrome anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to be fearful of doing things anymore because we can literally choose what our beliefs are and we can rewire them.
Do you think people choose their own beliefs before that exercise, or is it something that you kind of have built from experiences in your life and you do need to understand and rewire them to decide who you are?
Yeah, so our beliefs are formed, basically they're a safety mechanism. So if you think of it as like a kind of a protective shield around you, if you are, as an example, asked to read something out in class, you might be 7 years old and people laugh at you because you stumble on your words, you get it wrong, or you might call the teacher mum or something like that. We've all done that. You know that. And then so suddenly you decide that actually it's not safe. You panic. You say it's not safe to speak out loud anymore. It's not safe to be seen. And that would mean then that you'll start to avoid that as much as possible. So next time the teacher asks for a volunteer, you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. So it changes your behaviour. And then as you grow up, you might be in a office environment and you say, oh, could you, just share a thing or two in the team meeting. That same reaction, your nervous system lights up again and says, no, what sets off the programming? No, danger, we don't like that. We're going to get laughed at. We're not good enough. We don't want to be seen. And so because of that, you're like, I don't want to do it. Now you can force yourself to do it, but you're still going to feel pretty crap about it.
Yeah.
And what I see from a lot of people in business situations, especially when they come to leadership, is that they're great at doing stuff that they're really comfortable doing. But as a leader, you've got to do a lot of stuff outside of your comfort zone. You're asked to put on so many different hats. So you're actually in that survival mode constantly.
Yeah.
And that's how you get burnout. because you're constantly doing things that are outside of your comfort. It's setting off an alarm and you're going, no, I have to do it. I have to do it.
I feel like being attacked.
Yeah.
And your nervous system's going crazy.
Absolutely. And even the thought I have to or I should do, that is putting a real internal stress on you rather than, I mean, just flip it around, I get to. It makes it a lot easier. So we do need to stretch ourselves because we need to stretch our comfort zone. But our comfort zone is literally our subconscious just trying to keep us safe. It's trying to keep us in tribal, in the tribal days, to stick your neck out, to go against the grain, to say, I don't think you're right, Mr. Leader, what have you. Could get you thrown out, get eaten alive. So that's how we were wired.
Yeah.
Now it just means, telling Brian that he's got stinky sandwiches or something in the fridge or have you, or presenting at the town hall. There's not an actual threat to life, but we feel like there is internally. And that causes stress. And that stress, if we don't let it out, those emotions, if we don't let it out in the right way, just build and build and build. And then that turns into chronic disease. Wow. So, I mean, it's so important, this work.
Yeah, really is.
Yeah, but it's just transformational for so many people.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm so passionate about it.
What have you seen from people you've worked with that are leaders? How have you seen them almost become better leaders from going through that sort of training or I don't know, do you call it training or coaching? What would you call it?
Yeah, coaching, guidance. The thing is, I'm not doing anything. Yeah. I don't call myself a healer or anything like that. I'm just guiding you to use the tools you already have in order to rewire your subconscious programming, basically. So you were the ones that created it in the first place, and you, using your imagination, using your memories, using your emotions, and using your breath, because that helps with the nervous system regulation, can rewire them. So the changes that I see, so example, if you're not, or if you grew up around parents that were arguing a lot. So it might be conflict avoidance. You don't, you're people pleasing. You don't want to. So in the example I used earlier, I can train somebody how to have a difficult conversation. I can give them a model. I can give them all the tools, but they ain't going to do it if they're conflict avoidant, because actually they don't feel safe, because when they go to have that conversation, they remember being 5 years old at the top of the stairs and seeing their mum and dad argue. And they don't want to feel like a bad person. They don't want it to, they've created a story about themselves, about what that means to be in a conflict situation, and they don't want to be there.
Yeah, and then it overruns them.
Yeah. So if you don't address that, if they're not aware of that's why they're not doing it, then they probably go, I'm avoiding it because I'm a rubbish manager. So, that's where you get imposter syndrome from. Yeah. So by working with people like that, with an instance like that, suddenly that fear isn't there anymore. So that awkward conversation just becomes a vital conversation. Yeah. It's just become something that needs to be done because it's for their benefit. Yeah. And you go in with a great intention, and your great intention, it helps to set the energy in the room. Yeah. So that's the to and from the transformation. Yeah.
And that completely changes, like you say, changes a conversation from going in thinking, oh God, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, to, oh, I've got to do this because of X, Y, Z. It, like you say, it changes the atmosphere, it changes the way you present yourself, changes the way you come across,
exactly,
and perceived. And
that's one way that we create our own reality. By that intention setting, by going in there with knowing that your energy is pure, your energy is good, kind of thing. You're just there to help them. You're not there to berate them. They sense that, and your words reflect that. You're not saying you did this and that. You go, oh, this happened, tell me about it. You go with curiosity, and that changes the whole way that meeting is conducted and the outcome as well for them and you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I feel like energy is almost contagious, isn't it? If someone brings such positive, happy energy, it's hard to be to be in a depressive mood around that. It kind of lifts you up a bit. But also, the people that walk in and they are mood hoovers, and you kind of feel the energy drop. So yeah, it's quite interesting how all of this stuff kind of ties together, and everyone must have limiting beliefs inside them as well.
Oh, everyone does, yeah. I didn't think I did when I first started doing this belief coding. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm a very rounded, balanced individual. Oh my God, no. There's so many things that I didn't know that I was holding on to guilt from my divorce. I hold on to a lot of guilt, and that's a very low vibrational emotion. Shame from things that happened to me when I was a child, or I experienced when I was a child. The fear of being seen. People always thought I was very confident of being in learning and development. Well, I was talking about things that I was comfortable talking about, But coming out saying I'm the spiritual CEO and like talking about all this kind of stuff when I had no idea if my old life would get, you know, very analytical brained finance people. I didn't know if they'd actually get all this kind of, you know, new age, if you will. But it's not new age, it's science.
Yeah,
you know. So although it's been packaged up as woo-woo, it's not. I mean, it can be if you want it to be. You can put a spiritual spin on anything, but the science is there. You know, I've seen the EEG scans. I've seen the before, the during, and after of somebody's actual brain scans, and you can see the difference in people. People with dementia, I've seen the before and after, where they were very forgetful at the beginning. They were able to remember 80%. Retain 80% more information at the end of a 90-minute session.
Wow.
I've spoken to a woman sat next to me that had fibromyalgia, and within a couple of sessions, most of her symptoms are gone. Like this, it's incredible.
The mind is so powerful, isn't it?
I mean, we wouldn't have the placebo effect, would we?
No,
beliefs didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't have sports psychologists if the beliefs didn't matter.
No, that's right. What you do is very, very powerful and very special, actually. More people need you, Hayley.
This is it. This is absolutely.
I need you, Hayley.
I know. Me too.
I'm
got time after this.
I'm so passionate about it because I'm like, I wish I knew about this before, because I would have been doing it. Like, absolutely, there needs to be more awareness, and it shouldn't be shunned as, you know, something that's. Like I say, that's woo-woo and etc. It's not. People need to realise how powerful we are as a species. We really are. And I think I'm right on saying this, but we're the only species that has an imagination. And I believe that's because for this reason, that we can use it to create, and we can use it to go back to instances that no longer serve us and change them.
Yeah. And create more contentment in your life.
Yeah.
And really, be the best version of yourself. And especially as leaders is to show up more authentically and honestly and better for our team that we might be leading as well.
Yeah.
And touching on that, actually, obviously you're the spiritual CEO, as you call yourself. What did it take to show up as the spiritual CEO authentically after 20 years or so of really blending into corporate and companies and things? How have you changed that in you? Yeah.
So spiritual CEO, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek to begin with. But then I just liked it, so I just kind of stuck with it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
And now I'm like in between, when I do my branding, I'm like, do I keep it? Do I not? I don't know. But yeah, I've always had subtle shifts. So I've had clients where they've felt like the anxiety has left their body during a session. I've had temporary feelings of being anxious. I've never been diagnosed with anxiety, so I've never had anything chronic like that. So I haven't felt the big shifts. What I've always felt or always had is just more confidence to do things that I wouldn't normally do, and I go, oh, I'm doing that now, and I wouldn't have normally done that, and I have to reflect to be able to go, God, that's why, because I've worked on my belief. I actually believe now that I can be seen and that it's safe for me to do so, etc. So back to your question, when I first left corporate after 20 years of putting on a persona, less so in L&D, but certainly when I was in HR, you had to be the face of the company. So in situations that, you know, you might not necessarily agree with, you have to show that you agree with it. It's the same with leadership. You have to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely the right thing to do. And so because of that, you end up adopting a certain persona. Even when I thought I was really authentic, I realised that I wasn't. I realised that when I had to start communicating as me, as the founder of Human Edge Development, I was like, but who am I?
Yeah.
And I'd see people writing stuff on LinkedIn and I go, oh, they sound really authentic. And I look at my stuff and I go, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I've still got this like, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but like, it wasn't me. And then because I'd worked as part of the facilitator accreditation, you have to have so many facilitations on you, and you have to facilitate so many people. And so at this point, I'd worked on myself quite a lot. And like I said, I don't think there was one big moment, but then I just started to post as me, and I just started to not overanalyze. And I decided to call myself the spiritual CEO. And I didn't even think about it, because that's what happens when you take away the belief that you can't do something. You just do it.
Yeah,
you don't even
fear
think
of
about
judgment.
it.
Yeah,
you don't go,
just do it.
Oh, should I do it or should I not? You just do it, and you go,
fuck it, why not?
exactly. You just go, it's not a problem. It's not something that I've had to procrastinate about. But it has got me in trouble because I've kind of gone the other way now. And my dad did sit me down, and he was very upset recently because I swore on LinkedIn. No, I don't even remember the post or what I said. I honestly can't even remember it, because it wasn't a big thing for me. It wasn't something that I was, shall I try and be controversial? I was just being me, you know. But he was genuinely upset. So I was sad that he was upset, but old people pleasing me would have been devastated that my father had said that he was disappointed, and I would have been like, I'm heartbroken. I laughed instead. I was like, I said, Dad, it's a good job you're not my target audience then, isn't it?
Oh, that's true. That is true.
I said, the right people will resonate, and, the people that don't, won't.
They're not for me.
And that's okay. I don't need to be liked by everybody anymore. So he understood. He still wasn't very happy, but he understood.
Yeah, they do say that honest people swear anyway, so perhaps you should just say that. We're being honest. I'm swearing. Fuck it.
I'm sure it's to emphasise a point as well, but I don't know. I can't remember.
Love it. What are the most common limiting beliefs that you see in both women and particularly mothers?
A lot of it comes from self-worth, So I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Who am I to X, Y, Z? A lot of money stories as well. I come from a working class background. Everybody I know comes from a working class background. And so we again put these limits on ourselves that to ask for more is greedy. There's guilt if you want nice things and you didn't have nice things when you were growing up, if you see your parents working really hard and being stressed, well, work must equal stress. And none of these things are true. These are just things that we tell ourselves. We're absolutely all deserving. We're all worthy of an abundant lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, it happens we need money in this world in order to live life to the full. So live life to the full is our purpose. And we shouldn't feel guilty about doing that. And trust me, I did. I've had to work on it as well. But now I help other people with their money beliefs and money stories, because it's just like a paradigm shift. Because when you realise that actually, if I am able to earn a lot of money, I can give a lot more as well. You can't give from an empty purse.
That's true.
Right, an empty bank account. You can't give a lot. So the more I'm able to earn, and the coaches, the mentors, the people that I look up to, all give authentically and genuinely a lot to charity. They have an impact goal as well as having a financial goal.
Amazing.
And I think that's great. That's how we change humanity. We help people to unlock or remove their limiting beliefs so they can be who they want to be. They can pursue their dreams. They can earn money. We can shift the balance so the good people earn more than the few people at the top that currently earn it all. I think that's how we change humanity.
And then they're paying that down and helping other people. And
absolutely, you give up. I would love in the future to be able to help other small business owners. That would be my passion, to help other people that are doing what I do to have the foot in the door and to be able to get to a good place.
Amazing.
You've said to us, the universe acts in your favour. And that is your anchor belief. For anyone listening who struggles to trust life and beliefs, what are the first steps that you could tell them today to adopting that right mindset of what you just said?
I love the universe acts in my favour, and that ties in with what we were saying earlier about when things don't go right. It's a really good mantra to have, because if you believe that actually it might seem on the surface that it's not going right because it wasn't initially what you wanted, but actually it's exactly the right thing for you, then it takes away that kind of disgruntlement, the frustration, everything. You just go, it wasn't for me. It was supposed to happen that way. My mum's even started saying it the other day. We were having a day where it just seemed like everything was going wrong, and my mum turned around to him, I think it's the universe.
Brilliant.
Go on, Mum. And she said, well, if you hadn't forgotten that thing last night, then I wouldn't be here this morning to help you, and blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh my God, you're right. And she's lifted my mood straight away. And even she reminded me, because she's heard me say it so often, that the universe acts in your favour. So my advice would be to question your thoughts. Thoughts are not facts, number one. So if you really start tuning in, noticing what your thoughts are then if you don't like them, if your thoughts are you can't do this, go, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I know that's what you're doing. I can do this and I'm going to do this and here's why. It's literally reprogramming your brain over time. And setting intentions is another one. You know, if you start the day saying something wonderful is going to happen today.
Yeah.
Your reticular activating system literally goes, oh, we've got a challenge, guys, we've got a challenge. They start going, right, okay, we're going to look for something wonderful. And you start to notice things that you wouldn't normally notice.
Yeah. You're like almost controlling what happens to you in that day. It's like manifestation, I guess. Yeah. It's creating the life that you want.
It is absolutely. It's very closely linked to manifestation, because the future's going to happen anyway. You might as well have more of what you want and less of what you don't.
Yeah.
So if you focus on the things that you don't want, which is what a lot of us do, you know, oh, I don't have many friends, or I don't have enough money, or stuff like that, you will keep finding evidence to prove you're right, because we love to be proven right. We like to be congruent with our identity. That's the job of the reticular activating system. So if you challenge it and say, actually, no, something wonderful is going to happen today. Today we're going to have a lot of fun. I do this with Monty every morning. I genuinely do set my intention. I turn around to him, we're still in the same bed, and I go, what's our intention today? And he'll go, Weetabix. And I'll go, we're going to have fun. And then I end up being a lot more fun that day than I would normally, because when he asks me, oh, can we do this? I go, yeah, we're having fun today. Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah. Yesterday I chose productivity. It doesn't have to just be a word, but I was like, I needed to be on it because I needed to get stuff done, ready to come here and go to a party tonight. So I was like, and I did. I was really productive, you know. So choose what headspace you want to be in and do it. That's how you train your brain over time.
It's fascinating, actually, because I've read some stuff about how the brain, the little synapses in the brain, and how they change, and they've seen them change based on being positive and being negative, and you can literally, like you say, rewire your brain to be more positive and more intentional. Yeah,
we'll always go for the path of least resistance. You know, it's a bit like if you go out in the morning and it's snowy between yours and your neighbour's house, and you dig out a pathway, then the next day you're going to go that same route, aren't you? So, and that's our brains like to conserve energy. That's what how they're set up. So they'll always. So if you have thoughts of I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, then you're always going to continue to spiral and think that way until you choose differently. Until you go. I mean, I do a pattern interrupt as well, is what psychologists would call it. If I can feel myself spiraling, then I'll go, right, I need to snap out of this, because otherwise I'm going to be still spiraling in an hour's time, in 2 hours' time. And it's just, I'm going to be collecting evidence that I am rubbish and, you know, I've said something wrong to somebody or whatever it might be. So I'm going to have a pattern interrupt. My go-to for that is music. And at the moment, it happens to be Robbie Williams' I Love My Life.
Oh, good song.
Love it. Whack up, full blast.
It's literally like a song of affirmations.
Yeah, nice.
And then there's a bit of it as well. There's like a bridge towards the end that makes me cry every time. And I must have heard this song about 1,000 times, which is, he's dedicated it to his kids, but it's find the others with hearts like yours. Run far, run free, I'm with you always. And it makes me tear off every time, because I always think that's the message for that I'd want Monty to have.
Yeah.
I just love that. It's like, find others with hearts like yours.
Yeah. I know, so I really like that too. Yeah. And live freely almost. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
It always cheers me up.
Yeah, it's a great one to carry through life, I would say. Are there any rituals or practices that you do in your life that help you feel more grounded when things might feel overwhelming, whether that's in motherhood or in business, or if you're just feeling like really uncertain or maybe a little bit more anxious about things? Is there anything that kind of brings you back down to being grounded?
Literally grounding. Yeah. Before I came here, I found a bit of green space over there. I thought, damn, I've not done any grounding today. And I must admit, I don't do it every day, but coming to the city, I think is a really good idea because there's lots of people's energies. Like you say, you can genuinely feel energies, and there's lots of people's energies around. So I found some green space. I took my shoes and socks off and I sat on the bench and I just
I love that.
Yeah, nice.
That's brilliant.
Because there's the Schumann resonance. It's you actually at the same frequency as the earth if you do that. And it does just calm your nervous system. And I do Reiki as well. And so for me, I protect my energy. Which again is just basically using your imagination. Again, really powerful tool to imagine the roots of your feet, or your feet growing roots and going into the earth, going right down to the Gaia, past like the crystal caves and things like that, and to the center of the earth. And then receiving the energy back up, and then receiving energy from source, and then receiving energy back up, and kind of you imagine a whirlwind around you of protection.
Wow.
That really helps. It genuinely does. It just, I do believe that our emotions are frequencies, and our thoughts are frequencies as well. So the more that we can ground ourselves and stabilize our nervous system, then the easier we can go about our day being us, and rather than taking on other people's energies. Yeah,
amazing. I love that. Something I'll start doing in my life.
It's good. Yeah, it's good practice.
Yeah. What question you got next?
Do you want to go, if you got the final question? I think you must have the final question.
Do I have the final question? Let me have a look. We've gone through quite a lot of them. What's this one?
Yeah, that must be it.
That's it. Yeah.
Go for that.
Okie dokie. If every listener could take one belief or mantra from your journey, something to hold on to in their chaos, what would it be?
I honestly think the universe acts in my favour is the greatest one, because then it makes you more resilient, and it makes you just know that someone's looking out for you. Someone's got your back.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in the universe, God, it doesn't matter. Even if you just believe in your own innate ability, your own strength, if you just know that things are going to work out, and that whatever's happening to you right now, it's a lesson that you just need to learn, or it's a redirection, and you just need to take a different path. I honestly think the more people that hang on to that, the more resilient they'll be, and therefore the happier they'll be.
Brilliant. Great advice.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that. That was amazing. Thank you so much for coming here and making the time for us. That was great.
Perfect. Really good. Really good guest.
Yeah.
I'm going to go away and do lots of research now because, I think it's really good. And you need to spread your word, Hayley. You need to get on stage a bit more.
Yeah, I do. That's my plan. I want to do more keynotes.
Yeah.
As many as possible. So yeah, that's my plan for the new year.
Well, I'm sure you'll do great.
Thank you. And maybe podcasts now.
Yeah, definitely.
Go,
I mean, if someone did want to sort of touch base with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so if they find me on LinkedIn, it's probably the best way, and contact me on there. Or it's Hayley at humanedgedevelopment.co.uk. But yeah, there's a lot of rebranding and website creation and stuff like that are in the pipeline, not quite ready yet. But also I want to get this out to the masses, and at the moment I work with CEOs and with teams and things like that, business to business. What I'm going to start doing, because this week I covered for the founder of Belief Coding in one of her sessions, and I did a session for a business coaching team group, and it was a silent session. So that makes it really accessible. So anybody can join, and basically we do a bit of coaching to begin with, and then the second part is it's almost like an interactive guided meditation. So I taught you through it, and then you take yourself to your memories. With my guidance, help to rewire, and that means it's a lot lower cost and it's accessible to anybody. And so I'm going to start to do that probably on a monthly basis. So I will advertise that as well. So if people want to hop on there, they can hop on, hop off out. And I think my plan is also to have a membership, so it'll be a monthly subscription.
That's a great idea.
So because you can do it, you can work on a belief every month. So this time next year you could be a completely different person.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Really
I love that.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
You've been a great guest and thoroughly enjoyed that chat. Have a great evening tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The old me is going to come out a bit, I think.
Love that.